Zambia Blog Talk Radio.
Ready to take your nursing career to the next level? At Global Nurse Pathways, we're here to make your dream of working in the US healthcare system a reality. From expert NCLEX exam preparations to personalized consulting and relocation support. Led by the incredible Dr. Alice Nalondo, who holds a Doctor of Nursing Practice and is certified as a family nurse practitioner and a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. Our team delivers top-notch training to help you answer the NCLEX exam. Once you pass your NCLEX exam, we will connect you with the US-based recruiting agencies, setting you on the path to an amazing career in healthcare. Ready to get started? We're just a call or a message away. Call or WhatsApp us now at +1 346 328 1110 for the US or +260 961 875 081 for Zambia or email info@embehavioral.com. Let's make your dreams come true together. Global Nurse Pathways, transforming careers, changing lives.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It is Saturday, March 8th, and happy Women's Day to our amazing women community out there and everywhere. We appreciate, we celebrate you on this day. Tell everybody that ZBTR TV is live, and we are so excited that you chose to be with us today. All right. Now, today we have an exciting, serious, sobering, probing conversation with two amazing gentlemen, all right? And we're so glad that you joined us. Let me just read something here, and we are going to begin what we are calling a leadership series, okay? We are going to engage thought leaders, policymakers, and industry experts to dissect the most pressing issues in governance, leadership, and national development. So today we are going to tackle how has Zambia managed its resources. We are basically going to restrict ourselves to three, okay? Human capital, mineral resources, and water bodies, because this is a very vast subject or topic. And I have chosen or asked two amazing Zambian gentlemen to help me with this discussion, all right? I'm going to start with introducing our dear brother from across the pond. I'm going to introduce, first of all, Mr. Patrick Chilufya, who's joining us from the United Kingdom. I don't know that it's United Kingdom, it's England. What do you say, Patrick?
It's called United Kingdom of Great Britain.
Oh, okay.
It is called England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland.
Interesting. Patrick is a management accountant.
Britain has got England, Wales, and Scotland.
Okay. So Patrick is joining us from what he has described, which is confusing to us who don't live there. Patrick is a management accountant with focus on leadership, corporate governance, risk, and ethics. Welcome, my brother. I don't know the last time you were here. I can't even remember.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. I remember.
It's been a long time. Okay.
Yeah, and thanks a lot for inviting me.
You're welcome. And
Pleasure.
then another amazing gentleman joining us. He lives in my neighborhood, but he works all over the place. Brother Ali Joseph Mweene is a seasoned financial professional with extensive accounting, financial management, and also has held executive roles, including chief executive officer. Ali, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan, and I appreciate it. And I'm truly humbled and privileged to be on your show today.
Excellent. It's been a long time. I think you have never been here before, so this is your
Well,
first time.
I must tell you that first of all, tremendous accolades to you on this show for really holding out and keeping this show going. I've always been very evasive. I was contacted several times to be on this show. But
Chilufya, confessions of a sheep.
yeah.
Why have you been evasive? Why have you been evasive?
Well, there are several factors, and we can dig into those on the side show. But
all right.
Yeah, but
our
it's
subject
good to be here.
is how has Zambia managed its resources? Like I said in my introductions to everybody, this is a leadership series. A series means, those of us who go to church know, when the pastor tells you that we are starting a series on leadership, which means it's going to talk about it for a number of weeks or months. So that's what we are going to do. We are going to talk about this subject and we're going to look at it from different angles. Let me begin by asking this question. What defines or constitutes an individual's leadership style?
Would you like me to go? Let's get the man in UK to.
Let's get the gentleman in the UK to start.
Let's just
Patrick, what defines or constitutes an individual's leadership style? You are mute.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Balukama, for inviting me. And Mweene is not a strange person to me. We come far away. Yeah. So, I've been, I think a lot of people don't know. I left Zambia not willingly. I left Zambia on what I call myself as self-exile.
Self-exile.
Self-imposed exile.
Why?
Because I wasn't happy, because I am one of those people, 1991, it was fought by youth. So I just finished my high school. I think it was a year or two after finishing my high school. I was working.
Have you noticed every time there's a political revolution, it's the youth? Even in church, it's the youth. Even if Biden's UN speech acknowledge that it's the youth of Zambia.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know. So I was heavily involved because we suffered as youth under the Second Republic.
That's the MMD, right?
No, Kaunda.
First Republic.
Yeah, those
that's
people.
The First Republic.
No, second. The Third Republic is the First Republic was 1964 to 1972.
Okay.
Then 1973 to 1991 is the Second Republic.
Okay.
Under the one-party dominance. Yeah, so we suffered a lot. You guys know, especially us, the youth. And, so after fighting the Kaunda regime, I was heavily involved. I was involved in the MMD youth. And I was even threatened of being deported to Congo, where I don't come from, by the UNIP guys.
That's typical of our politics.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had hope that revolution was going to bring about serious change in our country. Most of us, just like 2021. And when the privatization came, which I believe was a total disaster
Yes, it
routing
was. I
exercise.
agree with you on that. That was a disaster.
A routing exercise. I think to me, it ranked as number one of the biggest scandals that have ever happened to our country. But there might be more coming in future, but we can't talk about them now. Yeah. So I wasn't happy. I left Zambia and I went on what I call a long curiosity journey to learn about leadership. So from Zambia, I moved to South Africa. I worked for a company called Castro in Johannesburg, and then BP bought us. Moved to Cape Town, then to the UK.
Castro is an oil company, right?
Oil company, yeah. So leadership is, to me, I've been researching about leadership. So to me, leadership is not about skills. Leadership is not about power, like Trump. Leadership is not about authority. Leadership is not about education. Leadership is about empowering others. Leadership is about making a positive and lasting difference to humanity. So, where does the concept of leadership come from? So, through my research, I discovered that the concept of leadership actually comes from God. You guys, we are Christians. So
we claim to be.
Yeah, so I don't talk about leadership in terms of qualities. I talk about leadership in terms of attributes. So where is the genesis of leadership? It's from Genesis 1:26, where God says, I'm now making man in our own image, in our likeness, and I'm giving that person dominion over everything, even the creeping things of the earth. But then, who is this person saying I'm doing that? It's God. And according to everybody you talk about, they will tell you that God is the greatest leader of all times. And not only that, Jesus, who is God's son, Jesus is also regarded as the greatest leader ever stepped foot on earth. So, what is leadership? So there've been so many definitions of leadership. Some they call servant leadership, some they call legacy leadership, and Jesus is referred to be as a servant leader or servanthood. Yeah, but then to me, I look at leadership in terms of attributes. So this greatest leader ever.
What are these attributes? Tell us the attributes.
This is where I'm going now. So this greatest leader of all times, God. What is God's greatest attribute? Character. What is character? Integrity. Holiness. Empathy.
Decision making, right?
Yeah.
These are all part
empathy,
of the...
visionary. Love, sacrificial love. So when you look at all these characters, it's everybody talks about integrity. They don't know where integrity comes from. It comes from God. So one of the qualities of that character is integrity. Integrity simply means you are one. Whether you are hiding or you are somewhere else, you are underground, you still behave the same. So that's one of the greatest character of God, who is the greatest leader. So a leader, if we choose people who have no character, then we are doomed. And according to Miles Monroe says character is actually the foundation of leadership.
Okay.
So without character, there is no leadership. And this is where the starting point of Zambia. We've been choosing people without character, and we expect them to be, to something good to come out of
we
that.
Expect a miracle.
Yes, and politics is not the same as leadership. Miles Malok went on to say, unless he was talking about third world countries, which Bahamas, his country was part of it. Unless we bring leadership into politics, let's forget about developing as third world countries and wait until Jesus comes.
Okay.
Over to you.
Let me jump in here.
Yeah, Ali, jump in before we
Mr.
go.
Chairman, here, quickly, I got some back feeds that let's be looking at our mobile phones. People are trying to reach us here to just make sure they are following this conversation.
Yeah.
Now, so again, let me summarize here, and this is very important, what Patrick is saying. So, when we talk about what constitutes an individual's leadership style, we need to understand that an individual is shaped through several combinations. There's the personality aspect.
Okay.
This is crucial.
I like that.
Experiences, okay? Experiences incorporate things like exposure. A long time ago, I remember I was talking to a close friend of mine. His name is Vincent. I think he's listening to our show this morning, this afternoon, this evening. And I mentioned to him that exposure is very important. It's very, very important how somebody looks at this aspect of leadership. Number 3, values, Mr. Chairman, values. Number 4, which is very critical, the decision-making approach. So in summary, what I'm telling you is that a leader has to be one that is grounded on vision and strategy. What that means technically is the ability to set goals and inspire others, if you understand me correctly here. Now, there's so much we can talk about. There's the communication aspect, there's the emotional intelligence aspect, which I probably won't dive into this morning here on the West Coast, but wherever you are. But also, to me, I'm passionate about 2 things here, and I'm ending so that we can progress in this conversation. 1, adaptability. This is very crucial, moderator. Adaptability simply means being able to adjust to new changes and evolving circumstances. And I'll be able to elaborate this as we move into our show. The last piece on this conversation about leadership is transparency. Okay. Now, we'll give several examples here. Patrick and I, my colleague here, my beloved colleague, by the way, we delved into this earlier on, obviously bringing in Botswana and the other government's approach in how they've managed things. But for a leader, transparency really is the ability to be able to connect and explain in a language that every citizen understands. So basically, back to the Bible, as Patrick is saying, servant leadership. Servant leadership, moderator, is just transparency and nothing else. Now, and again, I'm sorry I forgot to introduce myself here.
No.
But let's move on.
Yeah, I wanted the 2 of you to give that background on leadership for a simple reason. Okay.
Yeah.
Zambia, we keep hearing this, gentlemen, everybody watching. We have vast resources. We have natural resources. We have human capital. So how has Zambia managed its resources? That's a very open, general statement. How has Zambia managed its resources? Like I said in my introduction, we're simply going to deal with 3 because we can be all over the place and we can stay here the whole day.
I agree.
If you have the time. But gentlemen, Zambians are generally hard-working people.
I agree.
And ambitious, Patrick.
I agree.
What major challenges have we faced as a nation and how we have managed our human capital?
Patrick, what do you think about that question?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, Nkama. But we'll break it down, and with the help of Mweene, we'll try to, yeah. So, Nkama, along this journey, the curiosity journey to learn about leadership,
Mhm.
I came to realize that the most what word can I what can I use? The most commodity
Mm.
in demand
Yeah.
in the whole world
Mhm.
is leadership.
Mm.
At the moment, you can see what is happening in America.
Mm.
That's an issue of leadership.
I
And as
agree.
we
I agree.
discuss, we'll break it down. Like you remember, I said leadership is not about power.
Yeah.
It's not about authority. Somebody's like Trump is using power as leadership. That person is not a leader. He's either a boss or a manager or a politician. A true leader does not use power. He uses power to empower others. So Trump should have used that power to empower Ukraine, not destroying Ukraine. But let's forget
Yeah.
about that. So leadership is very critical. When you look at Botswana, Botswana is where it is because of leadership of the first founding fathers, Sasere Sekama and Kweti Masire, and Zambia, we started very well, the first republic, which is 1964 to 1972, and that leadership, because we started as a coalition government, what they call as a government of national unity, because UNIP, ANC came together, Ali Nkumbula and Kaunda, to form that government because they needed it. Because without unity, there was no way the country would have developed. So they agreed that, guys, let's go into, and it was a powerful government.
Let me take you back to that same place you are referring to. At the beginning of the formation of the nation, we know there was no University of Zambia then.
That's the point. This
Correct.
This is where I'm going to. This is where I'm going to.
We did interview, and there's always that statistic that is given that how many graduates did Zambia have at independence?
There were a few, not more than 100, not more than 100.
Okay, so
yeah,
but in other words, so one of the things that Kaunda did, because he understood the value and the importance of human capital. Do you see what KK did? He started building learning or educational institutions. Kaunda, one of the things both of you have referenced in leadership qualities is vision.
But and again, I'm sorry to
go ahead.
Jump in here because I think the key question before we move to the human capital, your question was, how has Zambia managed its resources? Was that your question?
And that's the point I'm trying to answer.
Okay, so I've got sort of a point that I'd like to bring forward, but I'll allow you to finish your point here, and then I'll jump in, because I think, to me, I'm passionate about this question, and it truly drives our discourse this morning where I am here.
Okay, so let me just propound on that a bit. So it takes leadership.
Quickly, Chilufya.
So it takes leadership for every country to experience sustained economic growth and development.
Okay.
And we had that at 1964. And you remember I mentioned Genesis chapter 1:26, where God says, I'm giving you dominion, authority, power over all the resources of the earth, including copper, everything. So the starting point of leadership, the main function God gave to man, the main command was to manage resources. So no country has developed without managing efficiently and effective their God-given resources. When you look at Dubai, they've developed through oil. And when we talk about resources, we're talking about mineral, natural, including water, including the people. Yeah, so let me just talk about natural resources, minerals.
No. Let's not go to natural resources. We're talking about human capital.
Okay, let's
let me jump in.
Patrick, let's already jump in.
So I think Mr. Moderator, before we jump into human capital, which is a very important topic, but there's a topic here that you brought up, how Zambia has managed its resources. Okay, let me just explain here quickly, and then we'll jump into the human capital.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I need everybody to understand that are listening to us that many of us here that speak this morning, afternoon, evening are trained professionals. We have so much empirical data to prove what we are what we are discussing here. And it's very important to understand that I spent many years, obviously, as a trained professional in finance, solid trade, with so many years behind my back, managing hundreds and millions of revenue budgets in different corporations. But let me summarize here what Patrick was saying. We need to understand that Zambia is a blessed country. This is very important, even for the youths that are listening to us this morning, wherever they are this evening. I'm on the West Coast. It's only 7 o'clock. There's something called copper, fertile land, and human capital. Now, let me narrow this in response to your question here, Nathan. Zambia, how has Zambia managed its resources? Now,
yes.
For a long time, there was a message brought to us about, hey, Zambia is rich with copper. Okay. And secondly, we looked at agriculture, which is a component of the fertile land that I alluded to earlier on. Now, the third piece that many of us ignore is called debt challenges. In Congole. Now, I think at this point, it's very important for me to highlight quickly here a little bit of history, and I don't want to dwell on this history because I'm not very old, as many might think. Let me sort of pick it up from the 1980s and 90s, from what Patrick was saying here, and obviously that's when, even now in my profession, I can be able to articulate these issues solidly. By the 1980s, Zambia faced severe economic challenges. In fact, going into 1990, if you remember, Nathan, where the situation where people were rioting, there were several issues, and many of us were growing up. Patrick, you remember this. We were growing up, and we didn't understand what that was all about. There were so many queues in town in Lusaka there. There were soldiers deployed all over. Now, let me summarize. What that was is nothing but a structural adjustment program. It was a push. Let me repeat. It was a push by the IMF and the World Bank because they looked at Zambia. Zambia, technically, with all what I said here, so many natural resources, minerals, but we were a highly indebted country at that point.
Yeah, I remember that terminology, highly indebted country.
Aha. And I'll come to that because that's where now Magande comes in. Because remember, Magande was our finance minister from 2003 to 2008. And this is the guy that technically brought Zambia's debt from 7.1 billion to 500 million. So what it means is that he was able to get Zambia's debt forgiven to a tune of 6 billion. Now, this is very important. And that's why Magande is on our books. Okay. I love my friend Willis, who is in Congo here. And he always tells me, you and Dr. Musanje, that you are Magande. so let me reference that. Now, what is a shift to free market policies? This is very important, Nathan, because this sets the sort of the discourse from coming from the early 90s under Chilufya, and then we'll move into the PF government, and then we will touch on the mines and where we are today as UPND, as a UPND government. Okay, now let me flash out these important points here, and these are very important. So, a shift to free market economy was nothing but a push by IMF and the World Bank to basically get Zambia to give up some of the Zambian government to give up control over some of the key industries that we know. Okay, and this was happening during the shift into what we call a free market economy or free market shift policies. So what does that mean? Well, we are moving from UNIP into the MMD. Here we see that an aspect of liberalization came in where Chilufya technically was on top of this, and that aimed to attract what we call foreign investment. And that foreign investment did significant damage to the Zambian economy. We saw tremendous job losses, increased poverty, and basically government revenue reduced. And the government of Zambia had no handle on the state-owned enterprises. And to me, that makes me very sad, because that ties into the sale of ZCCM assets that were privatized into foreign multinational corporations. And so basically Zambia lost its significant control of its key resources, and that is copper that I alluded to.
All right. I want us to stick to this. I don't want us to divert and move away from this thing. I'm going to show you something here. Yeah. And I want you all to look at this and let's respond to this. All right. You've talked about sale of capital assets, ZCCM, which I think was the second largest employer after the government in Zambia. All right. Look at this. I hope you are able to see that.
Yes, we can see that.
You see at the bottom, it says employment rate 34.3%. Okay. So what is that trying to tell us? That is telling us that according, and everybody watching, we are not just pulling punches here or throwing things, trying to, because you see, when you have a conversation like this, it's very easy for people to accuse you for talking down on your country or demeaning the country. Yeah. I got this statistic you are seeing on the screen appears on that website. You see that website there?
Yeah.
zamstax.gov.zm. Yeah. It's on the home page of Zamstax. You go there and you find that. So, Patrick, please, according to the Zambia Statistics Agency, the unemployment rate stands at 65.7%. What's your comment on that statistic, and how does it reflect on our job creation priorities?
Yeah, Malcolm, let me just go backwards.
We have a time constraint here.
Yeah, I didn't finish on how we've managed our resources. Let me just quickly for a few minutes.
Okay, 90 seconds. Can you do it in a minute?
Yes, I'll do that. You know, Zambia has been robbed of visionary leadership. From independence, we missed. Not independence. After from 73, we messed up. Because when I always compare ourselves to Botswana, Botswana had a free market economy. They had no economy when they got independent in 1966. 1966, Zambia was one of the best economies in the world. Actually, we were an emerging economy at that time. And one thing Botswana did, just like Zambia, started building universities. But one thing Botswana did was from the word go, they passed a law on corruption. That's the first thing they did. And then they made sure that there was physical and monetary discipline so that they don't lose the money. And then they also made sure that they protected their minerals. That's the starting point of Botswana. In Zambia, during Kaunda, from 1964 to 72, we were fantastic. Building universities, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
But again, our education system wasn't that very good. It was tailored. It was training people to work for somebody, but not to work for themselves. That was the missing puzzle in that education system.
All right,
So
let's address the unemployment thing.
Let me finish that.
Please, Patrick, time constraint.
Yeah, let me
time
just
constraint. Yes,
just 30 seconds. Let me finish that. And we controlled our minerals. 51% we controlled the minerals, and that's how Kaunda managed to do all that. And then things went bad when we went into the Second Republic. We'll go back into there. So an unemployment rate it's a disaster, and it doesn't reflect the wealth our country has. Had we managed our natural and mineral resources, diversified like Mweene touched on agriculture, Zambia would have been, one of the best economies in the world. Mind you, in 1964, our economy was bigger than China in terms of GDP. We were bigger than Singapore and Malaysia. Malaysia wasn't even there. Malaysia was only born in 1965. So that unemployment of 65% does not reflect what Zambia should be today.
What does that say about our job creation priorities? What does that say about our job creation?
The problem we have is unlike Botswana, we give if an investor comes, we give him all the minerals. Like best example is we had an opportunity of controlling Mopani. It was ours, 100%. All that Mopani needed is 300%, $300 million to recapitalize. Everybody knew about that. So we should have used Mopani. At the moment, we've got skilled Zambians all over the world. We could have run Mopani as a litmus, as a starting point. And then KCM, those guys misbehaved. We should have increased KCM from 28 to 50%. So we would have had two mines.
Yeah.
That would have created massive jobs, because investors, they don't come to create jobs. They come to make money. So you give them control, and you also give them taxes on top of that.
Okay.
Let me finish that.
You know what you are doing? You are going ahead of things we are going to talk about.
Okay.
Ali, I want you to respond to that.
Let me just finish, Balukama. You cannot create sustainable jobs and quality jobs when you are giving your resources to a foreign investor.
So, and I agree with you, Patrick. Obviously, you are 10 steps ahead. But I like to understand Nathan's question in a way that we must discuss and somehow look at providing solutions. Now, Zambia is a very small country, okay? Today, I can give you several examples of GDPs of just one city that beats Zambia by probably 3, 4, 5 times larger. And we'll express that as we move further in our discussion. But you need to understand that your question here is about resource management.
Yes.
So resource management is very critical. What do I mean when I say that Zambia is a very small country? It's a young country, basically. Since Chilufya died, we had Mwanawasa, then we had the Michael Sata, then we had the Rupia Banda, right? Then we had Edgar Lungu, and then we had who? The current president, Hakainde Hichilema.
Yeah.
HH, right? Hakainde Hichilema. So, why the what you call unemployment percentage is at 65.7%.
Yes.
That is empirical data. We have that data
It's there on the
from
Zamstats
yeah.
website.
Not only
Yeah.
that, but
Mm.
CEIC. These are the guys, the economical think tanks guys that really bring this data to us.
Mm.
So you need to understand, Nathan, that at every stage of leadership, there's massive or significant failure. Okay, there's a failure in number one, some things called value addition.
Mm-hmm.
Value addition means we're extracting. This is just an example. I don't intend to dive into the mining, but Kaja mining. Kaja mining is in Lufanyama in on the copper belt. It's been in business for a long time, and you can Google now. This is empirical data.
Mm-hmm.
Kajam is one of the actually it's the largest emerald mining organization in this world. Believe it or not, this is
Yeah.
Kajam.
Yeah.
But Kajam owns 80% of the shareholding. The Zambian government under IH owns 20%. So this ties into what we call mineral royalties. Basically, the benefit to the Zambian population is just the mineral royalties, because the mineral royalties in Zambia are tax deductible. And we'll dive into that and give scenarios and examples. So, what am I saying to you? I'm saying there's a failure in leadership from these presidents that I alluded to. There's no value addition. They don't understand a concept called revenue leakage. They
Okay.
don't understand a concept called mining taxation. And obviously, growing the economy on these other different fronts, which incorporates agriculture and strategic investments, and
What is
also
revenue leakage?
is corruption, basically.
Okay, simple. Leave it there. Let's finish human capital. We need to talk about water bodies and mineral resources,
Yeah.
especially the mineral resources. That's where I want us to stay. Has Zambia tapped into its highly skilled diaspora human capital? Patrick, has Zambia tapped into, let's stick to the question, into its highly skilled diaspora human skills capital?
I think the answer is an emphatic no, but I'll clarify that. Yeah, but before I go there, I just wanted to make one point on the issue of employment. And you know, Mangande, who I really, really respect, and is a true leader. Mangande, in his budget in 2006, made a very important point that made me to start trusting Mwanawasa and Mangande's leadership. Mangande said in his budget statement that it's only Zambians who can develop Zambia.
Of course.
And in their budget, they allocated so much money on youth empowerment. So, but the point I'm trying to make,
Patrick, what does even that? I want you to expand that. What does even youth empowerment mean?
No, I'll go there. I'll go there.
And I'm glad you brought that question.
Gentlemen,
so let me go.
The three of us here are almost in the same age group. We've heard that all our lives.
No. But you know what? That started, but then Mwanawasa died. Manganda wasn't there. So if that continued, it would have worked. But the point Mangande and Mwanawasa were trying to drive is it's only Zambians who can develop Zambia.
Yeah.
So the biggest employer in most developed countries is SMEs.
So there you go.
I think Patrick is really
that's a backlog. That's the backbone of every economy. And now Zambia, we destroy the SMEs. We believe that investors will come and develop the nation.
Where did that even come from?
Let me speak to that.
That's one of the causes of unemployment.
Yeah.
Because in the UK, where I am, 59% of the UK population is employed by by SMEs.
Of course.
And the UK government, if you go on their
mm,
website, they've put a statement that we're going to support SMEs. I'll give you an example. Let me not go far away. During COVID, I was sitting on a board of an SME in the UK. The UK government supported us until the COVID finished. Why were they saying if these SMEs collapse, the economy collapse? So now in Zambia, the SME is highly taxed. And what about the so-called investor does not pay any tax? And we've given them everything. And they cannot. Kitwe used to have so much jobs. The moment we gave away all the mines, there are no jobs, there are no quality jobs, they don't pay them well. And the answer to that is SME. And we failed to do that.
Yeah. Okay, Ali, quickly before you lose your trend of thought, we are now going to switch.
Look here, I'm even moving in my chair here because I'm burning. let me, and I'm very passionate about what Patrick shared here. SME, that's my forte, that's my strength. On my side, I support SMEs, and these are more like athletes to understand their financial management and tax implications. I do that. I've got tremendous, some of them, many sportsmen and women in this country and also in Zambia and other countries that I support in terms of financial management, because these are all SMEs, because they come with obviously supporting the economy in small ways, supporting the GDP of an economy in smaller ways. Let me give you an example here, Nathan, and if you allow me for 2 minutes, and I'll rest my case. A long time ago, when I moved to this country, the US, a doctor had just migrated to the United States, and he was a physician from West Africa.
Okay.
Very intelligent guy. Now, when he came here, he found out that the American system was almost incompatible with the African system to practice medicine. This guy joined a healthcare system as a cleaner, mopping the floor. And he mopped that floor to the point that everybody was questioning why he did that with excellence. Do you understand my point?
Yeah.
Many people who are interested in his abilities sought audience with him, and he told them that he was a trained medical doctor with many years of experience on his back. And the reason he did that, he imagined he was in a theater operating a patient who had to recover. And so he's going in to mop a floor and make sure the floor does not have any spot of dust.
Wow.
Do you understand what I'm saying? What am I telling you? What I'm saying is that it's a two-way thing. A two-way thing means that obviously from the government side, it's very difficult for many of our entrepreneurs to penetrate. But on the other side, they must push to show excellence and really break through. Now, I will not deny the fact that the Zambian government hasn't done a good job in terms of promoting SMEs, because these drive the engine of the economy, as Patrick said. That's my passion. That's my passion with SMEs. So what am I telling you now? What I'm telling you is that as Zambians, our population, they must be seen to be willing to be a part of what we call private-public partnerships with the government. The government can only do so much, but we need some willpower from our citizens to obviously move the needle. Okay, this is not a one-man show, it's a partnership. And today when I look at our unemployment numbers at 65.7%, it saddens me. Some things are not right. And so, as we discuss, we will articulate some of the issues and the immediate solutions that the government can do to help move the needle in the right direction. Because at this point, I can just tell you, Nathan, that it's just not working.
Yeah, it's not working. We're going to switch gears here now. Our next subject is
Let's do.
Zambia's water bodies. Let's listen to this.
Tourism. And the tourism master plan has devised these circuits as a way to promote our sector. Now, the most significant thing about the Northern Circuit, if you look at the Southern African region, you will see that 40% of the water bodies, the whole of Southern African region, 40% of water bodies are in Zambia.
Wow.
That is number one. And research further shows that 60% of this is in the Northern Circuit. Because of water bodies such as Bangoulu, Lake Tanganyika, and other rivers. So the Northern Circuit must be given a lot of priority in terms of tourism development. And we are looking at these packages so that when you come, you're not just visiting Victoria Falls. There will also be a package for Northern Circuit. And Northern Circuit will start from Central Province. There we at.
Okay, that was Mr. Cosmas Chileshe, a tourism expert in Zambia. He was my guest last week. Zambia is host to 40% of the water bodies in the entire Southern Africa.
Incredible.
Okay, 40%. However, we don't seem to make this work for our nation. We don't seem to. What's the strategy to revisit the fullest utilization of our water bodies? What's the strategy?
Let me jump in here if you allow me.
No, go.
Chairman, first of all, you need to understand that politics is different from reality. Do you understand? Gary is a personal friend of mine. At some point during PF, and again, not to speak against him, but there was a little bit of noise when he stood up in Parliament and said that we are going to dig a canal that will move the water from the northern block to the southern block. Do you agree with me?
Where's the canal?
Now,
it's 4 years into government. Where's the canal?
And that's Gary there. That's why we need another MP for Mazabuka. Anyway, I shouldn't have said this. I take that back. I shouldn't have said
no,
this.
No, you haven't taken it back. It's recorded.
Let me begin discussing this point, and I'm very passionate because I was born from a farmer, and I cry my beloved country that as politicians we speak, but we do nothing to actualize what we promise. California, I'm on the West Coast here. California is a global agricultural powerhouse, and you'll agree with me here, Mr. Chairman.
And California is partial desert.
Yes, but let me tell you here, California is a state in the United States. California's GDP is 3.9 trillion. That means
it's a country.
It's a country, or more than a country.
Oh, yeah.
Zambia's GDP is 30 billion, right? So now, agricultural powerhouse for California, in that GDP of 3.9 trillion is 50 billion. 50 billion. Zambia's GDP, everything, the noise in the GDP, like I tell my people in Zambia there when we are discussing these topics, GDP is nothing but just the noise in the economy how everyone is contributing to making the economy health. That's 30 billion. Okay, that includes mining, manufacturing, and small businesses. Basically, all the noise in the economy. If you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Ankara. So that's 30 billion Zambia. Okay, and how much noise everybody makes in that GDP of 30 billion compared to our population? The noise is 1,400 US dollars. That's the noise. Zambia's population now is 20.6 million, I think. So if you take, if you take 30 billion noise in the economy, which is GDP noise, I like how my boys that I train finance in Zambia, hey, GDP is the noise in the economy, the good noise, by the way. And then we divide that noise to the population. So I'm saying, okay, what everybody's contribution to GDP is only like 1,500, which is far less than what Botswana is contributing here when Patrick was talking about their GDP. So what does that mean? This is very important. California has a different approach to things. And we have got, when we talked about leadership, we've got things we talk about exposure. We send our ministers to fly across oceans. They learn, but when they leave these developed nations, all they know is how to buy clothes, shopping, how to buy best suits and clothes. Okay?
That's what they do. Okay.
I agree. Hold on, before I tape off. This is very important. 2 seconds. What California has done, they know how to harvest water. Okay? The harvesting water means that you have a system that basically collects all the water that comes in. Like now, we've seen many videos here. Patrick can agree with me of the floods that are happening in Lusaka. Basically, that water is wasted. We have no system. We have no canals to drive that water into some collection to deposit that. That's number one. Number two, California has that. They call it water storage and transfer system, where they go up in the mountains when snow falls, they drain all that water into some collection bodies, and they use that for high-tech irrigation. High-tech irrigation. Mechanized technology and precision farming, we don't have it. We don't have the whole thing called the strong government policies and regulation to support the industry where we regulate or manage agriculture, collecting water and things like that. So these are our serious challenges, Nathan. And I can tell you that until we really figure out and get leaders that are responsive and they understand the mechanics of supporting their population, we will continue to sing and say the same things and the same stories. So let me pause here for a minute.
Okay, let me do this before I have a question, specific question for Patrick, but let me show you this. We're talking about water bodies, okay? More than 13 million tourists visit Niagara Falls each year. You see that information from Derek?
Yes, we see that.
Economic impact tourism spending in the Niagara Falls region is over 2.2 billion annually.
I agree with him.
Okay. That's 2 billion. B, not M.
No, 2 billion.
If you follow my conversation with Mr. Chilufya last week about tourism, Patrick, Tanzania made $3 billion from tourism. My question to you, Patrick, is how can we make our water bodies contribute towards job creation in terms of tourism, infrastructure development, water transportation, and related industries?
It's a loaded question. Yeah, but just to simply answer your question, and Mweene has alluded to that, it's leadership. And you remember when I talked about Genesis managing the resources, we failed to manage our natural resources, and it all boils down into leadership. Because we are too simplistic in our thinking, in our approach. There is no critical thinking. There is no strategic thinking. There is no, they say it's ideas that develop society, that build society.
Mhm.
Yeah, we don't think outside the box, and that's where the leadership is missing. Imagine we've got 40% of water bodies in Zambia. I
Yes.
was in Lusaka in November for 3 weeks. I was living a few minutes away from HH's house. I was actually passing through there every day. The whole Lusaka underground water has dried.
What led to that?
Because everybody is using boreholes. So when you open the tap, it's only brown water, dirty water coming. And yet we've got the water. And all we need is to drill extra down. I'll give you an example. Libya, like what Mweene was alluding to Libya is a desert.
Mhm.
During Muammar Gaddafi, Libya used to grow more food than Zambia, which is not a desert. So what Gaddafi did, he spent about $2.5 billion. They went into the middle of Libya, the desert, and drilled down as if you're drilling oil. And they found water there. And then they built a canal, like a river, across Libya. So they brought water from the desert across Libya. They used that water for irrigation. I've been to Tripoli and to Libya when Gaddafi was a president. There was no water shortage. The water was flowing like no man's business. It's because of leadership and also and critical thinking, because it took critical thinking to do
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
then London, where the city, the biggest city in the UK, the capital city, London doesn't have as much water bodies as Lusaka. London has a population of 15 million. This time should be closer to, that was 4 or 5 years ago, should be 18, 19 million.
Mm.
The only source of water in London is the Thames River. There is no shortage of water. If you go to the tallest building in London, the water will be flowing just like you're on the bottom. So, and I'm going to explain some of the drainage system. They've built a drainage system in such a way that it becomes a catchment area. So the drainage system does in such a way that all the water that is coming is collected. So how can we fail to do that after 60 years? We've got engineers in all government departments. Councils are full of engineers, but they just sit in the office, drawing things, getting a lot of money. Water sewerage companies. How do you build Newcastle? You start such a powerful city like Newcastle without roads, without drainage system, without and the other thing is septic tanks. Everybody has septic tanks, and
that's a disaster.
Let me jump in.
Contaminate the underground water. Who does that?
Yeah. Let me jump in on that, Patrick. So first of all, I want to recognize Bankama, if you allow me, Dr. Musanje. He says that you have built a legacy of transparency, integrity, honesty, and accountability. So please educate us. So let me educate Dr. Musanje now.
Now you are picking a fight with Dr. Musanje. I hope you know what you are doing. I
always do that.
I hope you know what you are doing.
Yes, I do. So Patrick, by the way, Patrick brings up a very important point. And in fact, a few weeks ago, I was in Zambia here. I just came back. The point is, why do we have load shedding despite abundant water?
That was the question.
This
I'm glad you've addressed that. I was going to ask that question was asked by Dr. Nasilele Kaingu last
Aha.
week.
Vanessa,
Let me explain that.
sun also, abundance, sunshine.
Of course. Okay, let him finish, then we'll come
Solar.
back to you, Patrick.
Over to you,
Before
Mweene.
then we shall end up with the mineral
Let
resources.
me, yes, and this is very important. Water and job creation. What can be done? You need to understand that when we talk about water, it's a language many of our politicians don't understand. I was raised in Southern Province where the language of water is very common. We, in fact, every year move all of our animals into a place called Wengwa. This is where we basically take our animals there when there is low waters on the upper side, and we tend to move our animals there so that there is abundant pasture and water for them. Now, what am I telling you here? There's three things here that you bring up, Vankama and Patrick, obviously from Chilufya. There's the tourism aspect.
Yes.
The tourism aspect is dead. In fact, a few of us put in a recommendation to have the president basically remove that guy who is in the Ministry of Tourism, because he doesn't understand it. He doesn't get it. He thinks that tourism is Livingstone. No, tourism is not Livingstone. Tourism is Zambia. That's the first language. Why? Because the guy was raised up in Livingstone, and I'm sorry, Sukumba is a colleague of mine, but again, this is frank talk. We have to speak things that will
These are serious things.
develop
It's
our
got
country.
nothing to do with individuals. Yeah.
And I appreciate what you said here. Thank you for that
Yeah.
backup, Nathan. Tourism is Zambia. Tell me when we ever saw a statement from Sikumba from Lake Tanganyika. Me, I grew up everywhere in Zambia. I know how to speak fluent Bemba. I grew up in Serenja. I grew up in some parts in the Copper Belt. In fact, many people don't think I'm Tonga because I'm very fluent in Bemba. Okay? Kapiri kuwobola owe chiwacha peresham. You don't even understand that, Nathan, but I understand it. Number two, water transportation.
Big
Water
business.
This is what we call a ferry and transportation system on rivers and lakes. Okay, let me give you a clear example here. Lake Tanganyika, we're anchored there. Tanzania is anchored.
Yeah.
Congo is anchored.
Rwanda.
Kenya, Rwanda, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, let's say Zambia controls all the rights to transportation. We have to fight. Economics is about fighting to get the best cake. Okay, and I mean, if I were the president of Zambia, which I hope to be, anyway, that's not the point.
I'll be your campaign manager.
But the point is, you go in the ring, you're fighting for your country. Me, if I were the president or the Minister of Tourism, I'll go up there to Tanganyika, listening to my boys there in Mbala who sing good songs. You know the Siamese twins. I listen to that music. I go there and I say, tonight or today, I want to make sure that everything that is going to Tanzania comes to Zambia. Then I collect a little bit of tax. So what am I saying? Things are shipped from Kenya's port, they will come there, or maybe Rwanda, which doesn't have an ocean. Things from Rwanda, they will come to Tanzania. We sort of take that on, and we charge a tax to these neighboring countries, especially Congo, which is in a mess. Now, what am I telling you? Water transportation, we can collect revenue. Aquaculture development, which is around these massive bodies, okay? And in fact, I can register my disappointment to you, Nathan, here that there was a project called Nakonde and Mong Rice. So we had these Chinese that came in to teach our entrepreneurs how to grow rice in these bodies, water bodies. It's called aquaculture development. We should by now be the largest producers of rice and export that outside Zambia. But guess what? My Induna there, my cousin in Western Province, he only produces 25 bags. 10 bags will come to Southern Province, I'll keep them. Then he remains with 15 bags for his consumption for the whole year. So there's a failure in understanding the concept of managing water bodies in Zambia. And that should change. That should change. Why do we have load shedding?
Yeah.
Despite all the water bodies?
That's a big question right
there.
there.
Very simple, very simple. One, there is something called the poor investment in energy infrastructure. For a long time, we've over-relied on Kariba Dam, okay? And I'm sad to say, Kariba Dam cannot cut it. Zambia, when I left Zambia, our population, Nathan, was around 8 million. What is our population today?
19.
No, 20.6.
20.6, okay.
What does that tell you? Population is ahead of infrastructure.
Exactly.
So how do you bridge that gap? That's number one. Number two, there's something called climate change. Climate change. And I love this country, the United States, because for 1 month, when I plan my travel in my work schedule, I know what the weather is for 1 month from now. I've got conferences coming up in Philadelphia, New York, Chicago. So I've already planned because I look at climate change.
Yeah, what the weather going to be?
Exactly. So that has affected Zambia because our meteorological department is underfunded or maybe undertrained. They have no idea what they talk about. Number three, here is a solution. The European government is working to diversify some of the sources, but it's not enough because they are leaving stakeholders from the table. Okay? Now, what is diversification? Solar. In fact, I'm a big advocate of solar energy. Right now, I'm building my retirement home in Lusaka West. And we have to ship containers there to support that. Solar based, wind, and thermal energy. Thermal energy, we're far behind. And in fact, you'll be interested here, and I'll rest my case here, Nathan, that thermal is very crucial because that's all part of clean energy. Zambia has several mining projects, and some of it includes those that support thermal energy. But the government is not transparent to really tell us. So, it makes me very sad that Zambia is a rich country, but yet very poor, extremely poor. So let me rest my case here.
Patrick, let's conclude the water bodies thing. What else can we do with our water bodies? You're on mute.
All governments from Kaunda to today, they've been talking about diversification into agriculture. And if we manage those water bodies properly, because irrigation is the way to go, and make sure that where there is so much water, we grow crops, and not only maize, but crops like Mweene. You know how what they call the 8 rapidly developed nations, how they grow, China,
the G8,
Japan,
the G8.
They don't have any minerals. They utilized their water bodies and started growing crops that they had that they could export. Rice is one of them, cashew nuts, cotton, and that's how they made money. Because in Zambia, if you say diversification, how much of those crops are exported and how much are they contributing to the noise Mweene talked about GDP? So they were producing crops that could be exported, and then in return, they got the dollars now to invest in technology. So Mweene mentioned something about meteorological department. They're underfunded. You know, the other day I posted an article. I was just playing with people. I would say priorities. Botswana has launched a satellite.
Yeah, I saw that.
So when I post and I wanted people to start, you know, Zambians Bankama, we're not critical thinkers. We would rather go and thousands of them. This program, we might have 20 or 30 people watching. But if SIA 1 comes, there will be 2,000 people. We are not critical thinkers.
Yeah.
So we're not critical thinkers. So I posted that. I said, we lack priorities. Instead of launching satellites, we are installing a chief in Chief is it Chief Mohonga? Yeah. So I was just teasing. I was playing with people's minds.
Patrick, let me tell you.
Let me finish, Badala. The point I was trying to drive home, it says, let's talk about the benefits of launching a satellite. One of the problems when I was talking about, when you're in America, you would know. Today, I know the next 2 weeks how the rain is going to be in my area, the weather, everything, because of the satellite.
Yeah.
So a satellite, you cannot say, no, Zambians are suffering. We don't. It's a priority. The jobs that satellite Nkama can create is more than an investor would come and create in the mining industry.
Yeah. So
because it will tell a farmer when it's going to rain, when it's not going to rain. And not only that, we can also know where our minerals are. We can also plan. We can know where there are floods. All these flood issues in Zambia, using a satellite, we can able to know where the floods are going to be and how we do the drainage, even town planning. In Zambia, there's no GPS where I put a postcode, take me to Bankama's house in Lusaka West. It won't.
Let me jump in there. Satellite. 2 seconds, Bankam. There are two things I need to pick up from what Patrick said. Number one, and I always call our Zambian population, the youths, to challenge the status quo, okay? This idea of having mediocre leadership must be a thing of the past, because we have empirical evidence and empirical data that Zambia is not a poor country. Zambia is a rich country, but it lacks the willpower and some intelligence on the leaders to really move the needle. And that's my problem right there. My problem basically is, why is our country poor and yet we are rich? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
That point will keep coming up every time.
So, Bankama, can I say something?
But it must be fixed here. And that's the problem I have. Yes.
Let's go to mineral resources.
So Bankama, just
finish your point.
Let me finish my point. So water bodies. Here comes a president who has so much respect. Mwanawasa. He started badly. He was insulted and everything. And there rose a giant from nowhere. And then a combination of, at one point, 2003, a combination of Nevers Mumba, Mwanawasa, and Mangande was a game-changing, thing.
Basically, it was a game changer, right?
It was a game changer. And then in that government, they had an old man, Minister of Agriculture, who came up with an idea of using our water bodies when there is no rain to grow maize, winter maize.
So let me, sorry, Ms. Sankama, to interject.
So you see,
Patrick,
if we can
is
grow
it
maize
possible?
every year,
Let me ask you, Patrick, is it possible to dig a canal from the northern block, Kupangweuru, Mweru, Tanganyika, to tap into those water bodies to flow into the southern side of the country? Is it possible?
Gaddafi did it. Gaddafi did it. I just explained. Google it. Gaddafi did it. He went into the middle of the country, in the desert, and they drilled down and they found water, massive water, clean water. And then he built a canal across. Just Google it, you'll find it. The problem with Zambians, we don't read. Even our politicians, they don't read. And then he built a canal.
So what was the problem? Why hasn't that happened? Gary promised
it cost him 2.5 billion that time. And across Libya, so they use that for irrigation, for water, and also hydroelectric, everything. I told you that when I went to Libya, Tripoli, I found more food in Libya, grown in the desert, than the food in Lusaka.
Let's end with this. This is a leadership series.
And critical thinking, because true leaders are critical thinkers. And true leaders, they embrace criticism and encourage, embrace criticism, divergent perspectives and ideas,
and different things like that.
And Barukama, running a nation, this is where we've made all presidents in Zambia, most African countries, they have made a mistake. Running a nation is not just the ruling government. It's a collaboration and a collective effort, responsibility of all stakeholders in Zambia, meaning parliament, government institutions, civil society, business. That's running a nation. It's a collective.
Give me 2 seconds, Ms. Sankama. Let me respond to Patrick here. And it's very important because I am passionate about this topic. I'm a farmer inherently, and I'm very passionate about
you are born
this.
one.
That's right. That's the inherence, right? The question we should be asking is, why is there failure? That's the question. Why is there failure when there can be sustainable solutions? Number one. Number two, data clearly indicates that it's doable. We can do it. The point I'm trying to tell you, sir, is that we have to change our thinking as Zambians. The idea that politics belongs to the some of us is long gone. And I encourage those that are listening to us, whether local or in the diaspora, to take a keen interest about the natural resources that are in Zambia. The fact that you and I, we were born in Zambia, we cannot be sleeping forever. At some point, you have to wake up. You have to wake up, clean your teeth, and take a bath and think straight. What am I talking about? Sustainable solutions require us outside government to hold accountable people that lead us, number one. Number two, they have to be transparent what they tell us. If they're telling us because they need votes from us, we must challenge it. Gary Combo came out, and again, I come back to this because listen, and again, I'm going off the rails here, and it's very important. I'm very passionate about my country, Zambia.
We need to be.
If I went off the rails, I would work very hard to decampaign Gary. Okay, sorry about that. Because the point I'm trying to tell you is that when you come out and make a blank statement and say we're going to tap water from the foreign bodies. Then I go into his constituents because I was in Mazabuka a few weeks ago, and I saw the only thing that stood out was him putting that road that basically detours huge traffics out into that other street that goes to southern province because of some accidents at shop right there. And you understand, because Mr. Nkama, you know Mazabuka very well. You were once a senior person there, and I mean, you worked for Zambia State Insurance, a big guy there, right? Everybody fears you because you had a big title.
I was just an ordinary citizen. I was just an ordinary. We need to finish.
No, hold on. We have time here.
No, time is gone.
Hold on. Let me summarize what I'm telling you here.
Summarize
Zambia,
before we talk about ZCCM.
2 seconds, and that's a big part of our conversation. ZCCM.
Yeah, it is. We should have started with that.
Zambians must redefine their approach, not only in terms of politics, but also what surrounds them, their mineral, natural resources, to make sure that, look, 5, 10 years, 15 years from now, 30 years from now, we are all gone. The generation that comes behind us, they'll be asking questions. What disease dumb people did, whether it's UPND, MMD, or UNIP. And most of the UNIP guys, they've died. And me now, I'm asking the question that most of the UPND leaders were very dumb because they never understood the politics on the global scale. Okay. And this is the issue. When I see my president UPND is tapping into Leaflav's mediocre leadership, it concerns me. You understand what I'm telling you?
Yeah.
So I'll let you move to the next level.
All right, let's take a short break, then we shall do mineral resources. All right. So my conversation today is about how has Zambia managed its resources. And my guests are Mr. Patrick Chilufya, joining us from the UK, and Mr. Ali Mweene, who's on the west coast of the US, I believe in Oregon, where it's still early in the morning. Gentlemen, as we wind up here, I think, Patrick, we should have started with this question of ZCCM, and but it's all right. We shall see what we can do with it. So the question I want to ask is about our mineral resources. You are on mute. Please unmute yourself. Is about mineral resources, as Ali is going to come back and join us here again. Let's try to see if we can address this question we're not going to take too much time on it. We've already done 90 minutes here and we are way beyond our time. What's the untold story of ZCCM? Was it simply mismanaged and treated as a cash cow for the ruling party, or it wasn't truly viable business venture? What's the truth? What is the truth?
Okay, well, Kama, it's a very important question, and management of those minerals, utilization and value adding was going to be the solution to our sustained economic and economic development and growth. But so to start with, between 1964 and 1972, we got a lot out of our minerals. And it started when Kaunda managed to get 51%. So we controlled the mines. Before that, they were just dribbling us, like what is happening now. So if our leaders today have to learn, they have to go back to the First Republic, 1964 to 19. How did Kaunda manage to get the best? Pelt Tazara, Pelt Tazama, Kafue Nitrogen, all these big companies.
Indeni.
Yeah, and we had a company called Indeco. Was it Indeco or Zimco? Which was on the Forbes 500.
Oh, wow. Was it?
Yes. It was on Forbes 500. Top companies in the world.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and all that happened because we managed our... At that time, it was only copper. Now we've got gold, emeralds, all sorts. And we managed to do that. We managed to build universities, to train Zambians. I'm one of them. Valukama, you're one of them. Mweene is one of them. Free education. And how did Kaunda...
That's the part we talked about, Patrick.
How did Kaunda get the money to get the 51%? Zambia didn't have money. So what did Kaunda do? He used Zimco. Zimco was on the New York Stock Exchange, London Stock Exchange, Paris Stock Exchange. He went to London Stock Exchange and issued a bond, a Zimco bond.
KK,
yes. Read there, Google.
Yeah,
he issued a 200 million Zimco bond, which was to be repaid after 8 years. It was on par.
So technically,
so Boali, why did we sell ZCCM? Why did we sell ZCCM?
It's very easy.
I'm coming there, Badala. Coming there.
I want to know why we sold ZCCM.
So Kaunda says we are not getting...
I'll explain it. Go ahead.
Kaunda says we are not getting the best out of our minerals, just like what is happening now. Because Tiny Roland, who was running what was called Ron Consolidated Copper Mines, and Angro was running Nchanga Consolidated Copper Mines.
Is 10 Roland still there or he's late?
A long time. He was older than Kaunda.
He's late.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
he's late.
Tiny Roland was based in London.
Yes.
But very rich guy.
Very rich guy. Yeah. He was the owner. He was the founder of Lono.
Yes, I remember that.
So Kaunda goes to Tiny Roland and Anglo America, and I say, guys, enough is enough. I'm getting 51%, but I'm not going to grab
the mine.
I'm going to pay for it. Yeah. So that $200 million was divided between Tiny Rolands and Anglo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we got
control.
I
remember that.
And money started flowing. Development started going on. And we were managing our mines. And you won't believe it. We were running they signed a contract with Anglo. That contract was for management to help them to manage the mines expertise.
What you call it? The Zambian government.
The Zambian government, yes. So that part of that 200 was to help us with the expertise managing while our Zambians are developing.
Yeah.
So, and between that time, between 1964 to 72, we were getting the best out of it. The problem started when one-party state began. Yes, there were problems. There was oil issue, crisis. There were so many other things, but other countries survived them, just like COVID.
Yeah.
We can't blame COVID. Yeah. So now the point I'm trying to drive home, 72, we become a one-party state. What happened? One party, one government. That interference, political interference, is what destroyed ZCCM. Because if somebody wants to campaign in Choma, who get money from Francis Kaunda, give me the money. And there was nothing Francis Kaunda was going to do. Zambia Airways, nobody was paying. Zambia Airways didn't collapse because of mismanagement. It's because of political interference. I, for one, traveled in Zambia Airways without paying. I got a complimentary ticket. How many more got the complimentary tickets?
Let me dive
so now let me finish that. So there was a bit of mismanagement, but it was political interference. And
so let me hold you there on the mismanagement. Is that what? Let's go back to the first point of human capital. Is that what frustrated our engineers and they left in droves?
No,
some of
it, but most of them left after privatization.
Okay.
Privatization.
And you have Zambian engineers running mines here in the US. How do you know that?
Not only in the US. Not only in the US. I will tell you, I lived in South Africa. I visited a town called Rustenburg.
Yes.
You know, the hub of the mining in South Africa. You know, gold is finished. Kimberley is nothing.
Kimberley and all that stuff.
Yeah. South Africa's mining is in the northwest near Botswana. And the capital city is Rustenburg. Most of the mines are run by Zambians, engineers, chemical engineers, Zambians.
I mean, the Valentine Chitalus of this world, right?
So we can run our mines today.
Yes, we can.
If our government was serious, the diaspora, bring that diaspora and say, come and do it. You remember what Mangande said? It's only Zambians who can develop Zambia.
Yeah.
Ali, over to you, Ali.
Let me jump in. And Nathan, what I'm about to say here is very important data. This defines the future of Zambia, and this is very important. We can say a lot of things, but it comes down to what we are saying now. As of my last research, and let's pay attention to this, Zambia has over 99 mining projects. By satellite, you can actually see where they are dotted all across Zambia. 99 mining projects. Some of these have got what we call mining concessions. Okay, mining concessions incorporates things like research and development. It's not a full mine, but we know our friends that come into
yet
Zambia,
to be developed.
They will hide it and still extract and get revenue out of that, but never declare to government, because we have what we call weak government oversight institutions. So let me go back to my point here. I'll tell you what is common knowledge. Number one, mines that are in operation in the Republic of Zambia as of today. Number one, First Quantum Minerals. This is a Canadian firm. Just from here where I am is about a few miles into Vancouver, Canada. First Quantum Mines runs Kansanshi Mine and their smelter in Solwezi Northwestern Province. And then also they run Kalumbila Mine, which is under the pseudonym called Sentinel, but that's all First Quantum. We know it. We've done a research. What is the shareholding? First Quantum owns 80%. ZCCM IH owns 20%. Number two, Barrick Gold Corporation. Barrick Gold Corporation is a mining firm based in Canada, Toronto, Canada. They own a mine that operates in Zambia, in Rumwana. And Rumwana is Northwestern Province. Number three, Vendata. Vendata owns KCM operations in Chingola, KCM operations in Changa, that's in Chingola, and also in Chirirabombwe. Vendata Resources owns 80%, Zambian government owns 20%. Number four, this is very important statistics.
Yeah.
Number four, it's called IOCL, IRH, International Resources Holding. This is out of Dubai. This is the elephant in the room with regards to Mopani copper mines. Because Mopani runs the Nkana mine and Mufulira mine. And we know this. What is the shareholding percentage? IRH, in short, International Resources Holding, owns 51%. IH, ZCCM, 9%. And again, for those that are listening to us, the IRH is part of this whole conglomerate subsidiary that is based in Dubai. Number 5, Huang Quanqin Group. This is a Chinese. Huang Quanqin Group. 85% they own, and 15% ZCCM IH owns. This is Chilufya Mines. And you, Ms. Ankama, you and I, we know Copper Belt and Patrick. Chilufya is in Kalurush, right? And there is also a component of that is in Mazabuka, where I come from. It's called Munali Nickel Mine. So they own 85% and 15%. Number 6, Gemfuse, the famous Kajam mine in Lufanyama. This group, Gemfields, is based out of UK, London, where Patrick, you are there, right? They own 75% of the mining rights.
Mweene, they are Jews who are based in Zambia.
Yes.
Who are based in the UK.
I agree with that, but they are based in UK, right? So, and I'll be brief here. 75% of the mining rights they own.
Kajam?
This is Kajam. Genfuels, actually Genfuels. Kajam is the name of the mine in Ufanyama.
Yeah.
And my brother has a farm. My brother has a farm in Ufanyama. But Kajam mine, I've been to Ufanyama. They own 75% of the mining rights. ZCCM, IH Industrial Holding owns 25%. And remember, this company called Gemfields is out of UK, and they own 75%. Number 7, China Non-Ferrous Metal Mining Group. They own 85%. ZCCM owns 15% of what? Number 1, Baluba Mine in Luansha, Copper Belt. Number 2, Mulyashi Project on the Copper Belt. Number 3, Chambishi Metal. Number 4, Chambishi Copper Smelt. Because here I'm talking about the actual extraction. I'm not talking about what you call the byproducts of these minerals. Because remember, copper has got its own byproducts.
Yes.
Emeralds has its own byproducts. Yeah, cobalt, and that ties into what we call the mineral slag that is famous, known as the Black Mountain.
Yes.
That the youths have been fighting for in Kitu. So we won't go into that. Okay. Now let me talk about the last one. And remember here, I'm not including places like Nambundwe Mine, Luiri Gold Mine on Mumba Road.
Yes.
You know this. These are big mines on the world market that even when you do a zoom in, you can see these mines dotted around the globe. Number 8, EMR Capital. This is an Australian organization that owns 80% of Lubambe copper mine.
Wow.
And those that are listening to us, Lubambe copper mine is actually in Chilabombe. Did you know that, Ms. Ankama? Lubambe, Lubambe, it's been there forever. Lubambe copper mine is actually in Chilabombe, and this company called EMR Capital, basically it's an equity based company. They raise capital and they fund these projects, but they run this mine in Zambia out of Chilabombe at 80%, 20% of Zambia. So what I've told you here today is an eye opener that Zambia is in a mess. And most of these deals were cut in PF, because you wonder how these politicians became very rich, because they would basically go out there on the open market and say, hey, we have a mine in Chilabombwe, and we extract copper, so come in, give us 80%, 20%, and the rest of the change goes in the pockets of these politicians. This is a question that many of us youths in Zambia should be asking. Why is Zambia poor? Because we have decided to not be a part of this process. Okay, the statistics I've given you are alarming. If you were in my shoes, flip this coin and say, okay, where Zambia is at 25%, flip it, get Zambia into 75%, and then the PPP is into 25%. Now, it saddens me when I look at these statistics. The bigger part of the conversation that we may not go into is actually looking at the revenue component of that, because
we need to have another discussion, Patrick and Ali, on this mining by itself. Here's my final.
We have the data, sir. We have the data.
That just what you have said, Patrick, Ali, get ready. We shall do another one just on the mines, and I know both of you are capable of breaking this down. Here's my final question to the two of you, and we're going to end here. Have we, I'll start with you, Patrick. Have we basically given away our mineral resources to foreign companies to do whatever they wish? They now even have this tax holiday, Patrick. How? First of all, according to Ali's statistics, Uyumuntu owns 80% of the company. I'm going to say this in Bemba because it sounds stronger. When
say it in Bemba, sir. We all understand it. Can I translate that,
Patrick?
In
this person owns 85% wabika pono kumpera tax holiday.
Yeah. So welcome, Bankama. Let me go quickly. One of the biggest problems we've got at the moment, I used to think corruption, greed was the biggest challenge we have as a country, but it's not. The biggest problem we have as a country is leadership. And corruption is a symptom of that leadership.
Good point.
Of lack of leadership. So if Kaunda, there was less corruption in Kaunda between 1964 and 1972. Why did Kaunda decided we have to control the mines? Because the only way we can get the best out of our resources is to control them. Because there is transfer pricing, there is ubukuruku. If we say we're gonna get our revenue through royalties, they will cook the production because we are not there. We are not in control.
And they've been doing it for years.
So if we say we're gonna go do the tax, they will cook the sales. They will start transferring the sales to a tax haven, which is Switzerland. For example, Vendetta, they are based in Switzerland.
Yeah, I remember that story.
So let's go back. Kaunda, there was less corruption, and those guys were visionary. We are going to get 51%. They did it. Botswana, just next door. And this is where Zambia needs to learn. Zambians.
Talk about the lessons from Botswana. What lessons can we get from
Bankama, I moved from BP buys us. In 2001, I was working for Castro in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
So I had to move to Cape Town, where the head office of BP was.
Yeah.
Beautiful city.
So
there I met a guy, a Swana guy, who was once a country director of BP Zambia. His name is Dan Moroka. A lot of Zambians know him. This guy is a Swana, but when BP was struggling, he came and saved Zambia. You see how the Swanas are. They are disciplined. So leadership also has to do with what is known as self-leadership.
Yes.
It begins with yourself. It's self-discovery.
You remember Bamensa's teaching, Patrick?
Yes, self-leadership. So it takes self-leadership to develop a nation. So I meet this man, very senior guy, but by then he had been moved from Zambia to Cape Town, which means he was promoted. So he was a senior manager. He was over a country director. So the first time we met, he was excited. Chilufya. And then when I was leaving, he came to me, before I just left, he came to me, 2006, he came to me and said, Chilufya. He says, sir, how are you? No, don't call me sir, just call me Dan. So Dan, how are you? And said, Chilufya, do you know that I'm leaving BP? And say, what? Are you joining?
At that level.
That level, and BP was big. There was no company that could pay like BP in South Africa. When I moved from Castro to BP, the salaries between Castro and BP had to get about 40% uplift. So said, Dan, you can't leave BP. Where are you going? And I'm going to Botswana. The Botswana government wants me to go and work for them. I said, you are joking. Says they had hunted me. They wanted me to become the permanent secretary of the Department of Trade and Commerce. I says, you're joking. Are you going to lose your pay? I says, no. They've promised to match my pay. I says, wow. That's the first time I started getting interest in Botswana. So Dan, how can they do this? As Botswana government, wherever there is a Swana, whether it's in Iceland or anywhere, if he's got the skills that can develop Botswana, they will fish that person.
Wow.
That doesn't happen in Zambia. Us, people in the diaspora, we are foreigners in Zambia. They don't like us. How do you develop? So going forward,
Vamusoma, how can we manage this in Zambia?
Let's move forward.
Let me jump in.
Let me move forward.
Okay, wind up. Let's wind up here.
I need my 2 minutes.
So Dan became
the
permanent secretary, and then he became a politician. He became the minister of the same department.
Wow.
Now he's the chairman of the De Beers Botswana joint venture. So now Dan says, Chilufya.
Yeah.
We started talking about Zambia.
I know Dan. I know him.
Yeah. And then he says, do you know why Botswana is successful? He says, leadership, lack of no corruption. And he said, when the beers came for the first time, do you know that Botswana is the only country that wasn't colonized in our area? It was a protectorate, but managed in South Africa.
Okay.
Because what is his name? Cecil Rhodes didn't know that there were minerals there because they refused to go and explore the minerals there. When Cecil Rhodes wanted to force them, the 4 Swana chiefs went to the UK and asked the British government to protect them from Cecil Rhodes. That's why they became a protectorate. And then us, the Roses, they sold us. They even said Baloserand extends up to the Copper Belt because Cecil Rhodes was not going to sign the contract if the Baloserand was not extended up to the Copper Belt where the minerals were. So that's one difference between us and the Swanas. So the beers comes. There are diamonds here. Yes, come. We want to start mining it. Yes, let's sit down. And they told those guys that it has to be a joint venture. Okay. Why? Because the diamonds belong to the Swanas. So you're going to bring capital and expertise. And then we run it together. They tried everything, all the games. I said, if you don't want, there are so many other guys
who want to come and do this.
Who come and we can do this with.
Negotiating power. Which we do not have.
That is corruption. That is patriotism. That's lack of leadership. And the beers comes 50%. And you know what? The other aspect is whenever they sign a contract, transparency and accountability, they show it openly. If you Google that agreement between the new agreement between De Beers, and you will find it on Google. Everything. So what happens is let me finish quickly. The last agreement which was signed by the last president in 2023, it was that they will share the the diamonds, rough diamonds, they've moved it from 30%. First is 50%. No
Yeah,
royalties, no nothing.
exactly.
They share profits equally. But De Beers gets 50% of the diamonds, rough diamonds. They take them to London because De Beers is under Anglo America. They polish them and everything. Botswana also gets 50% of the rough diamonds, and they give it to their purpose-driven company like ZCCMHI.
Yeah.
It sells it on behalf of Botswana. And that cash, 50%, hits the Reserve Bank of Botswana. Does the 49% cash of the sales of copper hits account 99? Let Kabuswe answer that question. So going forward, Botswana says, no, we want something extra. Diamonds are a wasting asset. They went and told De Beers that we want $75 million. It's there on online. We want $75 million every year for 10 years. You'll be contributing on top of everything. You'll be contributing to what is known as the diversification program.
So let me jump in, Patrick.
So I'm going to let me finish. So
Quickly,
the new president comes as if it was enough. The new president comes in and says, we want De Beers now to polish value addition, to polish 50% of those diamonds in Botswana. That's a new president.
I agree.
If I came in as a president of Botswana, I would just, want to make money out of De Beers. They said, no, we want more. What do we want? 50% of the diamonds have to be polished in Botswana. And then Botswana, that 50% of the rough diamonds, they went and brought a Belgium company that polishes the diamonds to polish their diamonds in Botswana. And the government owns 15% of that company.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's a Botswana story. All right. Ali, please wind up.
Let me wind up. And look, it's getting very emotional because I'm passionate about my country of birth. And how old is Zambia again? 60 years?
61 this year.
Okay, let me tell you that we can't debate 61 years of failure in 2 hours. Okay? This is common knowledge. We can't debate 61 years of failure in 2 hours. But there is some critical components of our conversation that we overlooked, that I'm hoping that at our next segment, we can tap into seriously diversification and teach some lessons to our local politicians how to grow an economy, because there is massive failure and basically they don't understand how to grow an economy. How can a small city like Dallas have a double-digit growth in GDP, and Zambia, which is 20.6 million population, fall behind just one city? That tells me things are not working. Okay. It ties into the whole aspect we talked about, human capital, where there is almost what I would call people that don't understand the economics to a level that they can really bring it down to the people that they lead. So there's failure in leadership. Significant failure in leadership. Serious. I mean, we can't run away from this. Like now, if I ask you in this discussion here, tell me 5, 6, 7 years strategic goals of the UPND. We have no idea. What are some of the short-term goals to mitigate the impact of the high cost of living in Zambia? We have no idea what that is. Because
Mweene, just hold your thought. I want you to answer this question. The UPND government says they want to produce 3 million tons of copper. How are they going to do it? If they explain that vision, and then are we going to get that? Are we going to increase production to 3 million, and yet foreigners are getting 80% and we are getting 15%.
There's some, I can answer
Over
that
to you,
in detail.
Mweene. Over
I
to
think
you.
we don't have enough time, and we can dig deep into the mechanics of revenue, and I'll tell you and prove to you that it's almost impossible because the people in the government don't understand this. I'm not accusing the president for malice. He's a good friend of mine, but what I'm telling you is that the people around him don't understand the economics and how to lead a country. So let me come back to the summary of our discussion here that we've talked about a number of topics here. And obviously, what we did here, Nathan, was just basically scratching.
Exactly.
We never went into detail.
No, we didn't.
Yeah,
That's why
I've
we are
got
not. We are not going to. I'm not going to say we conclude.
Please don't.
We are not going to conclude because there is
Yeah.
a second and third series to this
Yeah.
leadership series.
Because we've got a number of, some of us here, we've got empirical data and evidence to prove how we can change an economy, turn around an economy in all the different components. But let me highlight a few things here that we will all agree from our discussion here that Zambia has an immense potential of its natural resources. We talked about human capital, water bodies, and minerals. Okay? And yet, let me repeat this, and yet the cost of living is a crisis. Food, fuel, healthcare, everything is expensive. This is real stuff. Number two, the kwacha is depreciating like a golf ball. Okay? You hit that golf ball, man, is descending into that hole very quickly. So kwacha is depreciating at a golf ball speed, affecting it. You know, when kwacha is depreciating, it affects imports. That ties into the GDP. Okay. Unemployment, 65.7%. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Slow job creation. That saddens me. It saddens me. Nathan, a few weeks ago, I demonstrated to you how my interest is in SMEs. And the conversation with a guy that runs a car wash in Olympia there. He's not the only one. I've got 1,000 videos that I can prove to you. And you saw these videos, how these people are technically having a challenge to just meet the government officials to support their agenda, to be a part of GDP, the growth in that economy that we desperately need. It's not happening. Nathan, I shared this with you. It's not happening. Number 4, political tension. Number 5, the anti-corruption measures are simply not working. So what am I telling you here? All I'm telling you is that the road ahead is going to be very difficult. I think that UPND government, the government I support, we're very lucky that we don't have a solid opposition party. Because if we had it, these guys, it's a one easy takedown. Okay, takedown, because we don't have the fundamentals to support that. So I would like to summarize by telling you that as leaders, let's wake up and really understand what leadership means to us, being loyal to government and being loyal to the country of our birth. Eliminate the thieving culture, the stealing culture that is happening. It's a problem. And you and I, Nathan, we agree that if I were the president of Zambia, I would almost be like a dictator, because if a minister or somebody steals, I'll probably send them to the gallows and have their arms chopped off, like in Dubai. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we are not going to have a conclusion to this conversation.
No, we can't.
We have a part 2 and a part. That's why we called it a leadership series.
Can I conclude, Valukama?
1 minute. we
Just
have
for today.
no. We are not going to conclude. There's no conclusion. We will continue.
Or the last remark.
And we are going to pick this up on our mineral resources. Okay.
Or the last
Thank
remark.
you, everybody, for listening to ZBTR TV. Please follow us on YouTube. We appreciate and love our first listeners to today's conversation. Follow us on YouTube, ZBTR TV. Subscribe and click the bell there so that when a lot of you ask me what time is the show, what time is the show, if you click on the bell there, it will tell you when we go live. We are also on Facebook, Zambia Blog Talk Radio, and we are also on X, ZBTR TV. Join us again next week. Not this conversation. We're going to talk about something else. Patrick, thank you. My brother Ali, thank you. And everybody, we shall see you next week. This has been a provocative, just to provoke you to think about these things, okay? How has Zambia managed its resources? Join me next week.
Ready to take your nursing career to the next level? At Global Nurse Pathways, we're here to make your dream of working in the US healthcare system a reality. From expert NCLEX exam preparations to personalized consulting and relocation support. Led by the incredible Dr. Alice Nalondo, who holds a Doctor of Nursing Practice and is certified as a family nurse practitioner and a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. Our team delivers top-notch training to help you answer the NCLEX exam. Once you pass your NCLEX exam, we will connect you with the US-based recruiting agencies, setting you on the path to an amazing career in healthcare. Ready to get started? We're just a call or a message away. Call or WhatsApp us now at +1 346 328 1110 for the US or +260 961 875 081 for Zambia or email info@embehavioral.com. Let's make your dreams come true together. Global Nurse Pathways, transforming careers, changing lives.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.